Hi everyone, my name's Drew. I like watches, I travel a lot for work, and when I'm traveling, what I like to do is explore the city I'm in and see what it has to offer for the watch enthusiast. So today we're going to be exploring Kyoto, Japan. I recently shot video from Osaka, Japan, Bangkok, Thailand, Portland, Oregon, and I'm going to be heading out to Boston and Chicago soon. So subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, that way you'll be notified when those videos arrive. Alright, with that, let's jump into Kyoto, Japan. Alright, so what kind of watch shops are you going to find in Japan? Well, in the larger cities, basically Tokyo and Osaka, you'll find authorized dealer boutiques, as well as specialty vintage and used watch shops. But in a smaller city like Kyoto, you're really limited to two kinds of stores. That is, department stores that are authorized dealers, and what are called brand shops, B-R-A-N-D. These are basically fancy pawn shops that trade mostly in expensive handbags and watches. I actually lived in Japan for 2 years and have been fortunate enough to come back a number of times for work. If you've never been and you have the opportunity to come to Japan, let me recommend it as one of my favorite travel destinations in the world. Alright, my first stop in Kyoto was a place called Don Quixote, which was in a shopping complex called Avanti. Don Quixote, I think, is a national chain. It's part one of these brand shops, but they also sell cheap household items and trendy clothes and stuff like that. The Avanti building is just south of the main Kyoto train station, and Don Quixote definitely had the largest selection of used and vintage watches that I found in Kyoto, so it's well worth a visit. Alright, we are on our way up to try to find Don Quixote, which I think is a second-hand shop, so we'll see. Okay, jackpot. We found used watches. They have several display cases with more expensive watches, and then a big area back here with fashion watches, Casios, and G-Shocks. One note about watch shopping in Japan. Japanese watch sellers, like watch sellers all over the world, have access to these global marketplaces like Chrono24 and others that allow them to value their inventory appropriately. So there's no amazing deal to be had here in terms of price. But the one thing that Japan offers more than anywhere else in the world, I believe, is exceptional condition of the watches. If I can generalize, Japanese people tend to take very good care of their items and they place a premium on good condition. So used and vintage watch sellers will really only accept timepieces that are well cared for. So while you might pay the same price in Japan as you would pay anywhere else in the world, you can find really exquisite vintage watches that are just in excellent condition. My next stop after Don Quixote was Brandoff, one of these luxury second-hand stores with handbags and watches. And in terms of watches, they focus on dressier luxury pieces like Cartier and Rolex. If Kyoto Station is in the bottom center of the screen, Brandoff is mostly north and a bit east along the river. And while they didn't let me film or take pictures inside, it was definitely worth a visit. My final stops in Kyoto would be the two department stores that are authorized dealers. They cover just about every brand you would expect, and you can find them just by entering Seiko into Google Maps, as both of them are Seiko authorized dealers. And finally, if you find yourself in Japan, try out an Aquarius. It's basically grapefruit flavored Gatorade, but really nice on a hot day. Very thirst quenching. That, and of course, watch out for the killer escalators. Alright, so that was my review and summary of watch shopping in Kyoto, Japan. As I said, I have a number of other videos coming out for cities all around the world, including a number of cities in the US. And in addition to that, I'll be doing videos with watch reviews and focusing on some vintage watches that are affordable and that I think aren't talked about enough in the watch YouTube community. So subscribe to the channel so that you can catch all of that. Like this video if you did like it, that helps me reach a wider audience. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.